I fell into a deep depression, and it got so bad that I turned to drugs and alcohol. I didn't live a sober day for 6 years straight. It got to a point where I even contemplated taking my own life. I didn't have to work for anything. I got whatever I wanted, I did whatever I wanted, and one of the worst parts was I ate whatever I wanted. And the eating part doesn't really sound that bad, but by the end of high school, I weighed over 300 pounds. That caused some really low self-esteem, and I remember having to do a class presentation and running to the bathroom to hide, or calling my dad to come and get me. I never stepped up to the plate. Fast forward to high school graduation, I remember watching all of my peers graduate and go to college and start their independent lives, while I sat back and watched, lost and confused. One day I decided out of nowhere, you know what? I think I'm gonna lose some weight. And that was the first time in my life that I decided to take action. That year I lost 125 pounds, and I was extremely proud of myself for accomplishing this goal. But once I did, I experienced a what now moment. I had zero goals yet again, and yet again I was lost and confused. I fell into a deep depression, and it got so bad that I turned to drugs and alcohol. I didn't live a sober day for 6 years straight. It got to a point where I even contemplated taking my own life. And in a way, I kind of did take my own life. I took control of it. For the second time in my life, I decided to take action. And thank God I did, because now 15 months later, I'm on this stage talking to you guys. Thank you. And that's how fast your life can change. And you know what the craziest part about this whole story is? Nothing about myself actually changed. I just made the life-changing decision to take action. I stopped letting life happen, and I started making life happen. Taking action, it's not something that you learn to do. It's not something that you work for. It's a choice. And making a choice is the easiest thing in the world to do. It requires no physical or mental effort. It's a decision, and that's the first step in taking action, making the decision to do so. Decisions change the world, for good and for bad. Decisions created who you are today, and they will create who you become tomorrow. It's evident that everybody here wants to be successful. You came across Ricky's videos for a reason, and you came to this event for a reason. And Ricky has told us exactly what we need to do to succeed in this industry. And if you haven't gotten there yet, it's just because you haven't made the choice to do so. Probably because it's scary and it takes a lot of work, and that can become uncomfortable for a lot of people, which is the second step in taking action. Learning how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I started my journey in real estate in January of 2020. I was extremely lost. I didn't know anything about real estate. I came across Ricky's content in June of that year, and everything changed. I reached out to Ricky on Instagram, and of course he responded, and we were on a phone call 30 minutes later. Long story short, like a lot of people in the audience today, Ricky became my mentor. He told me exactly what I needed to do, which was cold call and create relationships. So that's what I did. That's all I did. 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, until I got my first deal. I was 14,000 dials in before it actually materialized into a listing. I learned so much through those 14,000 calls. I learned how to communicate with people, how to handle objections, how to follow up, how to set listing appointments. But the most important thing that I learned was how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let's face it, for a lot of people, cold calling is a tough pill to swallow. It's extremely uncomfortable at first, and that was the case for me too. But then it became a challenge. I stopped focusing on the end goal, which was to get a listing, and I started focusing on the progress that I was making. Every time I got someone's email, that was a huge win. Every time I saw the dialer hit 500 dials, I felt incredible. I felt like I was already a top listing agent, and before I knew it, listings started rolling in left and right. There's not a single successful, thank you. When you stop focusing on the negatives and you start focusing on the progress that you're making, all of that discomfort eventually turns into success. There's not a single successful person in this world that didn't have to deal with some level of discomfort to get where they are. And that's why so many people fail, is because they stay comfortable. The definition of a true professional is someone who knows what to do and does it despite the hardships along the way. And once you're there, you already have what it takes. You just have to stay consistent and then never give up, which is the third and final step to taking action: consistency. Never give up. The only reason I'm here today is because no matter how hard things got, I always saw a sliver of light at the end of the tunnel. Once I started taking action, that light started getting brighter. And as I kept doing so, it kept getting brighter until it was right in front of me. It was hard getting to this point, but what you have to realize is that every hard task in life is just a series of small and easy tasks. Losing 125 pounds, that was hard, but taking the first step wasn't. Taking the next step wasn't. If you keep doing that over and over, before you know it, you've ran a mile. If you do that every day, then running 2 miles is possible. Repeat the process over and over, and before you know it, you're running a marathon. Consistency creates prolonged consistency. There's a term in physics called inertia. An object at rest tends to stay at rest, while an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Strike when the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. That's when you take your first step. After that, everything gets easier. The light starts getting brighter. Keep acting and never let the emotion fade away. We always intend to do something when the idea first strikes us, when the emotion is strong. But if you don't act immediately, that intent starts to diminish, and then it's gone and you never even started. Act immediately, contain that momentum, and never give up, and anything is possible. Everyone here is going to feel inspired today after Ricky comes out here and speaks. What I want you to promise me is that you're going to take that inspiration and act on it immediately. Look, there's absolutely nothing special about me. The reason I'm here telling you my story today is because I want everyone to understand that any of you can do this. I had nothing going for me. I was a broke college dropout addicted to drugs and alcohol. All I did was make a decision to take action, persist through the discomfort, and stay consistent. Now, that same kid who was afraid to do a presentation in front of 20 kids in a classroom is on this stage talking to 500 people. That same 300-pound kid is standing here 125 pounds lighter. And that same person who didn't live a sober day for 6 years straight has been sober for over a year. And that same person who got on a phone call with Ricky last June with 0 sales has done 40+ deals and sold over $10 million in real estate. All I did was take action, and that's all it takes to go from 0 to diamond. Thank you.